Hey y'all, it's Toni. Today's video is going to be me basically explaining the modifications that I did to this dress. A few videos back, probably like 3 or 4 I think, I showed you the process of me making, again, this dress right here. It's also right here. So this beautiful orange printed 50s style dress with a full skirt. Love it. Pretty obsessed with it. And yeah, so I just wanted to show y'all basically those modifications that I did to make the dress what I wanted it to be. Okay, so this is the pattern that I used. It is the Butterick B5748, which is the retro Butterick 60. So it's in the 60s style of dress. So I actually did a combination of both of these. So this is the back. There we go. So these are the flats for the technical drawings of the dress. So the pattern that I use is the E5 and it's for sizes 14 to 22. So I cut it in the largest size, so the 22. And the sizing, something you should know about patterns is that they're not always correct sizing. So usually I'm kind of between like an 18, 20, but in this pattern I cut a 22. So it all depends on the fabric really, how it's going to fit you. So it's not always going to be your exact style, not style, it won't be your exact size sometimes, maybe a little bit bigger, but that's just because size is not always the same, especially across fashion brands. Size grading is just like, that's a whole other video. But I wanted to go ahead and get into the modifications that I made. So the first modification I made, if you see here on this dress, again, I'm going to show you the flats, which are these technical drawings of the dress. You'll see here that both of them have a pretty low cut back. You'll notice that. Now on my dress, however, you'll notice that it has a full back. Because I'm not the biggest fan of low cut backs. It's just not my style. So I'm going to pull out the pattern piece and I'll show you probably over here what that looks like. But I raised the back, so if I had left it in its originality, I would have left it like right here, but I raised it, what is that, like 8 inches? 8 to 10 inches from where it was, because I just wanted a full back, which means that when I cut the lining, I also had to make sure I adjusted it as well. The second modification that I made to this dress was I added pockets, but here they are. So I added some pockets. I actually took the pockets from this pattern, which is the McCall's. Okay. I'm sitting in front of the window and this is not working out. And for me, I think it worked out better that I kind of mix and match the patterns. Of course, whenever you're sewing, you can completely just go and sew the pattern in its entirety, the exact way that you buy it from the store. However, again, there are a few things that I wanted to add. Like I wanted to raise that back. I also wanted to add pockets because I love pockets. Basically any dress that I have, except for probably like 5 of them, have pockets in them. Like everything has pockets. So those are a necessity. There's one more modification. So the dress is actually a circle skirt, so a full circle skirt at that. Again, if you look here, okay. Oh, this lighting today. If you look here, you can tell this is a full circle skirt, and so there's no division here. This whole front panel is cut on fold, which means it's one piece, and then the back would be in 2 pieces. However, due to the fabric that I had, it wasn't super wide. I think it was kind of like a standard 45. 45 is again like the standard size width for fabrics. It can be longer than 45, but like I said, 45 is a standard. And my fabric was about that standard, so I had to kind of move things around, and I turned my circle skirt into a gore skirt, which basically just means that I took that front panel, instead of leaving it in one cut on fold, I had to cut 2 separate pieces and had to maneuver it around. So it's not as much fullness, I'll say, as I would originally like it to be, especially for the back of the dress. It's a little less full, but Again, that was just my fabric constraints. So that's just something to remember if you are working on this pattern or any pattern that calls for a circle skirt, that you have to make sure your fabric is wide enough, or sometimes you may just have to modify it and make your skirt just a little less full. Or you can cut it out in multiple pieces and it be a gore skirt like that, or you can just have smaller gores, but my gores were a lot larger, so the skirt is in 4 pieces instead of 3 pieces. It's a fully lined dress. However, I had to use, what is this, chiffon for the lining of the skirt because I ran out of the silk fabric. But then also I had a few mishaps to where I had to cut the skirt, I think two times? The back skirt, I think I had to cut it 2 times because one time I cut it and I cut them both on the same side, which means that I had 2 pieces going the same direction and that's not going to work out. So they need to be going opposite directions, and I just had to recut the skirt like twice or 2.5 times. And then I made sleeves because I thought I wanted sleeves, but then I was thinking, okay, that may be too much pattern all over this dress if I add the sleeves, because I was going to add the sleeves from that previous pattern, and we just ended up, we as in me and myself, decided not to do that. I did a lot of, made sure I finished my seams. For me, sometimes my sewing, I'm like, okay, let me just, like, how can I finish this the quickest? But now it's starting to get dark outside. But it's important that when you are sewing that you do take the time to do those little touches that are necessary, like understitching. So hopefully you can see. So the understitching, if you can tell right here, there's like a little line going through, and that just means that when I sewed the fabric together, I flipped it and then I sewed the under one side to the other, so that way it would lay a little bit flatter, and it would look better on the neckline. It keeps everything, like I said, just nice and flat and pressed. And then I also had to do the same thing around my other armholes and neck holes, make sure it was flattened out, make sure that I closed my seams. I did lots of serging. As you'll see in the video, if you watched that video previously, I was back between the serger and my sewing machine. So this is my serging. This is black. No, this is gray thread. So I actually didn't even change my serger thread. I just have it kind of on, it's gray. So it's light gray, dark gray, and then I think like a medium gray, but they're all gray. So I basically use that on everything, just gray. And it works out really well. And then this is the serging that is on the lining, which you can kind of see it a lot better now on the gray. I mean the black. Then I did the roll hem, which this was my first time really using my roll hem foot, so it didn't come out as perfectly as I would have wanted it to, but I think it looked pretty good for me figuring that roll hem foot out. Although I think in the future I'll just use the roll hem, just manually roll hem, or manually roll hem my garments, because honestly the rolling hem foot was difficult to use for me, but that's just me. I think that's actually it. Alright, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Y'all let me know if you are interested in knowing more about this dress or seeing me make more dresses. I'm planning on doing some more sewing videos, some more sewing how-tos, sewing basics, even some fashion design basics. And I will see y'all in another video. Be blessed and see you soon.